Hey guys, how are you doing? Let me move that out a little bit. Okay, so today's 5 things we are gonna do. Let's let everyone show up. How is everybody doing today? It's a lovely day here in San Diego. Happy Halloween, everyone who's watching live. It's Halloween today, and I will be doing a Zoom at 4 p.m. PST. We're going to keep it short because we're going trick-or-treating, and I'm sure lots of you are. Raining in Oregon, I'm sorry. Today's 5 things, so we're having a 5 things today, and we're having a Zoom later. Today's 5 things is 5 ways to make money on CreateSpace with no writing skills necessary, and sign up for free newsletter at Catherine.com. You can see I don't have any writing skills from this piece of paper. Okay, so let's talk about 5 ways to make money on CreateSpace. First of all, what is CreateSpace? CreateSpace is Amazon's platform for self-publishing. You can make all kinds of books on there. It's a really cool platform. What you do is you upload your digital files to CreateSpace, and Amazon print on demand books for you. So you don't have any inventory. It's all up to Amazon. You just upload your file and Amazon print the books as customers order them. And what's really nice about CreateSpace is it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to make a book and put it up on CreateSpace. Totally free. The only thing you have to pay for with CreateSpace is a proof copy of a book. So when you're ready to publish a book, you just order your proof copy. For most books, this is around $2 to $3. Super cheap. That's the only expense with CreateSpace. So it's a really nice thing to use to just upload your books, have them on Amazon for customers to buy when they want to. Totally passive income, which we like. We like passive income. So let's start with number 5, and I'm going to get this one out of the way because you all know this one. Coloring books. Coloring books are huge right now. Super huge. Adult coloring books, children's coloring books. It is all about the coloring books. I'm doing a course at the moment. This really isn't to advertise my course, but I'm doing a course at the moment about coloring books, and people have created... I wish I had Marilyn Southmead. There's a lady, Marilyn Southmead, who's in coloring books, and she's published several, and she's done something really clever. She's made left-handed coloring books, and she has a gorgeous one with penguins, and I can't find it. It's on my shelf somewhere, but I've got to show this one. I plugged this last night on Dean J. Rowe's show. This is Jordan Colton put this together, this Night of the Living Dead coloring book, which is just amazing. And because he found out it was public domain, the Night of the Living Dead was in the public domain. A shout out to another member of my coloring book course who put this beautiful flower one out, Passion Imagination Coloring. You can see she made some nice flower images and put these out. This is my coloring book. I haven't actually put it up for sale on CreateSpace yet, but I took these images in Hollywood. I took these pictures myself, and I converted them with Photoshop. And it's actually super easy. You just use various filters in Photoshop, and you can create some really cool colorable images. And I did this all myself. I have no Photoshop skills. And I do tell you how you can do that in my coloring book course. And look, there's a little colorable picture of me on the back. How great is that? So coloring books, I'm getting that out of the way because coloring books is a great one to do. And here's the trick with coloring books. If you want to join the coloring book course, it's at academy.blueskysweet.com, and use the code Treasure Hunter and you can get in with a discount. The trick with selling coloring books, because it's easy to make things, the trick is always selling them. The trick is finding a really cool, really interesting niche. Like Night of the Living Dead, brilliant. Hollywood, sort of dark, gritty Hollywood, I thought that was kind of a cool niche. I know people have, Cool Toads did one on Wine County, which is a great idea. Like, people have come up with really cool niches. And the trick with this is we're not targeting colorers. We're not targeting people who are addicted to coloring. We're targeting people who are looking for Christmas gifts for just people with special interests. It's not about targeting the colorers. They tend to be very picky. They want mandalas and very certain like Zentangles. We're not targeting those people. We're targeting people with very unique interests like quilts or stained glass windows or something interesting, Hawaii or Las Vegas, that isn't covered by colouring books. So we're looking to make gifts for those people. So that's colouring books. We got that out of the way so I can stop talking about colouring books. So let's go to number... Oh, whoops, I just lost my page. Hold on, guys. So professional. So professional. Okay. That was number 5, colouring books. So let's go with number 4, illustrated classics. Now, I was keeping this one secret because I'm kind of working on a project at the moment, and it's an illustrated Shakespeare play. And here's what's really interesting about this. So I'm not going to go too deep into public domain, but I will just tell you a little bit about public domain for complete newbies and beginners. Public domain means that a work like a piece of art or a poem or a piece of writing is copyright free. You can work with it, you can rework it, you can do what you want with it. And public domain is really, really cool because you can find things like Shakespeare plays are in the public domain, a lot of art classics are in the public domain, and this is how you end up with things like Pride and Prejudice and zombies, because Pride and Prejudice, it's an old book, it's in the public domain, you can add zombies to it and you have a bestseller on your hands. It was like #1 at Barnes & Noble and #1 everywhere. So I'm saying illustrated classics. What you can do is take a classic book like Pride and Prejudice or like Hamlet. It has to be pre-1923. That's usually the watershed for public domain. It's a pre-1923 book or work. Look into public domain carefully. Look into public domain carefully because not everything is public domain. You do need to do your own research, and I'm not going to go too far into the laws on this because this is about ideas. This is sharing ideas, but generally public domain is pre-1923 works. So illustrated classics, here's my idea with this. You take something like Pride and Prejudice or Dracula or, I don't know, Jane Eyre or Charles Dickens or like Shakespeare. Shakespeare's amazing, or Chaucer, or anything like some classic, or the Bible. I don't know, take some amazing old public domain work and then get someone on DeviantArt or on Fiverr or something like that to put illustrations in it. On Kindle you need, I think it's 10 illustrations to make it unique. It might be 12, I think it's 10. You need 10 illustrations to make it publishable on Kindle. But I don't think there's any restrictions on CreateSpace. So if you add in 10 illustrations to a classic book, you can publish that as a new thing. So what about taking something like sci-fi images, manga images, I don't know, there's a lot of different ways of doing it. Maybe intersecting it with fine art or classic art. All interesting ways to make a classic something new. And think about this. Think about what's on reading lists in schools. If everyone's doing like Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, can you do something that makes that interesting for kids? Can you add illustrations that make Great Expectations interesting? Like put it on a spaceship and draw the images. I don't think Great Expectations would work on a spaceship, but you know what I'm saying here. You could make goth images, you could make anime images, you could do all kinds of things with illustrated classics. So that's number 4, illustrated classics. And also poetry. Don't forget poetry books. Whoa, there's bugs everywhere. Okay. Sid's shouting at me through the window. I love you, Sid! Number 3. Journals, diaries, sketch, or writing. So this is a pretty interesting one. You can make a book that kind of has blank content. By that, I don't mean just publish an empty open book, but like, here's an example. I have, like, this book. I ended up with this from an estate sale. This is a Tony Robbins journal. Get the Edge. Whoa, cool. And check it out. Here, it's full of this kind of content. So, day 5, the power of emotions. Your assignment. Write about your, what does it say? Notice any negative or disempowering feelings you have, and then write about it and how you handle those negative, disempowering feelings. Brilliant. So you could do something like this. You could make a journal or a diary and just format it. It becomes all about the formatting. You're going to want to put the dates on it, or you're going to want to put writing prompts in, or art prompts. And that's why I said sketch or writing pads. What you could do is have blank pages and just put like drawing prompts on each day. The trick with this is to have a niche. So what about doing a wine diary or a wine journal or a golf diary, so you can keep track of all your best ever golf games? Boom, there is a sellable concept right there. Travel diaries, do travel diaries, road trip journals, all of those kind of things. You don't need to write much. You can just put in lines, have a formatted file with dates, with times, with writing prompts. Boom, there is an idea. It's Dean. Hi Dean, how are you doing? Thank you for having me on your show last night. Okay, so we've had, wow, this is a lot of ideas. This is more than 5 ideas really, but here we go. 5 ways to make money on CreateSpace. So we've had colouring books, illustrated classics, journals, diaries, sketch or writing books. So now we're going to do number 2. Okay, this is an interesting one. Themed art, poetry, recipe or other compilation books. Sign up for free at catherine.com for more ideas. This is a really interesting one. So, you know, I go to a lot of estate sales. And often at estate sales, I found like really old recipe books and really old, I don't know, photographs and slides and like handwritten things. And like the owner is long dead and no one cares about these things anymore. No one wants them. Now, a couple of things. You might need to look into copyright. I believe that copyright on unpublished works is 70 years after the writer's death. But it's kind of one of those things that if no one has claimed the copyright on it and they've sold the book, and like it's kind of up to you to do your research on this. How much risk do you think's involved? What the law is on it? But I'm just sharing this from an idea perspective. But you could put together public domain specialist books, things like. Here's a few ideas that I would do. I would look at maybe old encyclopedias that are pre-1923. Look up a topic, something like butterflies or, I don't know, plants of the Sahara Desert, or something very, something specialist, like historical topics, or maybe even things like old medical books or old medical encyclopedias, something like that. And what you could do is turn a chapter of an encyclopedia or an entry in an old encyclopedia into a new book. You could take illustrations on a certain thing, turn it into a new book. You could take poems, make sure they're all in the public domain. Don't steal anything that isn't public domain. Don't infringe people's copyright. But if you have the ownership of it, or you have it's in the public domain, put it together into a themed book. And here's a tip. Use keywords. Find out what keywords are really popular at the moment. Look at what's trending. Look at what hashtags are popular. Look at what people are researching. And if you've sold something on Amazon or eBay or Etsy yourself, that's kind of a niche item. Like I sold a book on Japanese wood blocks for, I don't know, $150. It was a lot of money. Which tells me there's an audience for Japanese woodblock. Can you find old public domain information that you could compile into a new book without actually doing any writing? You just have a selection of Japanese woodblock images. Boom, done. That's a new book. Literally, you can make a book overnight. I put this colouring book together like overnight. It took me one evening to make the images for this. You can put together a book overnight that will be making you money constantly. So the other place I was going with this was also things that you find at estate sales. If someone has a selection of vintage slides from Disneyland, can you put those together into an image, into a book of art or images, or like a guide to Disneyland from the day it first opened? These are ideas. This is kind of brainstorming. You might need to look into copyright on Disneyland. Or recipes. Recipes are not actually copyrightable. The prose that goes with a recipe, if it's described in like beautiful like phrasing, that might be copyright. But generally, recipes are not copyright. Instructions are not copyright. Facts are not copyright. Only prose, only artistic expressions and works are copyright. So that might be a place to look. If you look at things that you've found at estate sales that are really old, old art, old slides, any of those things, put them together into a theme book. Okay.
Number 1.
Come and say that, Sid. Come and tell us, quick.
Time for
No, you gotta come here. Come here, Sid.
Time for the ultimate number 1.
Thanks, Sid. Time for the ultimate number 1. Okay, so here's my number 1 idea. Year or celebration books. Whoa, what? Huh? Here's an idea. What about talking to a sports team, talking to a club, talking to your school, and putting together something special for them? Using their artwork, using contributions from the kids. I had an idea with colouring books. What about making, because these colouring images are all taken from my own photos, right? So that's like a picture I took in Hollywood. What if I took a picture of a wedding or several pictures of weddings, and that was a gift for the guests at a wedding? What if you gave out a wedding colouring book? Boom! Mind blown. What you could do, you could give away, I don't know, you could have the engagement pictures turned into colourable images, give that out at the wedding, and then take wedding pictures and give those, so people could be colouring during the speeches because they're boring. And then you could take pictures at the wedding and then give those away afterwards as a thank you. It's huge. You could do